Hello, I'm Jessica Carew Kraft, and I'm thrilled to be presenting to the Boulder Bookstore about my new book, Why We Need to Be Wild: One Woman's Quest for Ancient Human Answers to 21st Century Problems. The book is about modern people who have rejected many of the comforts and conveniences of technological society in order to learn a set of ancient human skills to live healthier, happier lives in connection to nature, just as all of our human ancestors did before the advent of industry and agriculture. Why did I choose to write this book? Well, several years ago, I was working as an editorial consultant to tech companies and startups and venture capitalists, and I was having a hard time living with the contradictions in my life. Everything I did seemed to go against my natural instincts. So I was staying inside for 95% of the time, as most of us do, only seeing my family for a few hours every night, eating processed food, driving long distances alone, and always on the cell phone or the screen. Now, the CEOs I worked with only preached the benefits of technological progress, and they were predicting a digital utopian future where every human problem could be solved through better applications of AI and machine learning, from food delivery to climate change. Yet I only saw my life and those of the people around me getting more stressful. We were underslept, addicted, depressed, anxious, diseased. My own mother had passed away from multiple sclerosis in her 50s, which I learned was a disease of civilization. And the more I looked into modern health conditions, the more I saw that it was our lifestyle that was decreasing our quality of life and very often killing us. So I started wondering if we modern industrial humans had gotten completely off course. And that's when I discovered rewilding. The kind of research that I did while writing this book was, first, I started out looking at how ancestral lifeways, those of hunter-gatherers in the past and the present, were better at creating thriving conditions for humans. This involved reading a lot of biological anthropology and speaking with archaeologists and artisans who were experts in ancient technologies like stone tool making, bow and arrow hunting, basket weaving, foraging, shelter building, and friction fire making. Once I saw the science-based evidence for a rewilding lifestyle, I decided that I wanted to meet people practicing it. And I wanted to learn those skills myself. So I went to ancestral skills gatherings. There are many of these that happen across the country. And I trained with indigenous artisans. I spent time with wildlife trackers and mushroom foragers. I traveled with people who harvested roadkill, investigated Paleolithic settlements, and generally was attracted to anyone who was reviving a skill that would have otherwise disappeared forever. One of the skills that I learned during this journey that I found pretty easy to pick up and also really helpful in my daily life was that of foraging, particularly wild greens. So some plants that are often called weeds or invasives are easy to recognize, and they offer a lot more nutrition than the veggies that you'll find at the grocery store. You could save money, improve your diet, get exercise, and promote biodiversity because you're extracting those invasives by searching for things like dandelions, Himalayan blackberries, kudzu vine, and any other common wild edible in your area. And when you do this, you also tap into your hardwired instinct to find food from your environment. And it gives you that same type of dopamine reward that we moderns are used to getting from phone alerts, fast food, Netflix, etc. So warning, it can be a bit addictive. One reason that I think we all need to be wild is that when I understood that our ancient human ancestors were not motivated by fear unless there was an immediate threat to their lives, which could come in the form of a predator or physical danger or even social exclusion, very rare. I realized that living in a generally fearful state wasn't helpful or healthy for me or anyone. Our psychological baseline is to be happy, low stress, and socially supported. So gaining that kind of self-sufficiency allows us to be less dependent upon experts, institutions, financial systems that retain power, especially the media, by stoking our fear. So I'm no longer worried or fearful about things I used to worry about: getting lost, losing electricity, running out of money, being deprived of my possessions, even letting my kids go without a shower for a while, taking on hard physical tasks. I now see these possibilities as interesting challenges that require courage and resilience. And these are qualities that wild humans have in abundance. So getting rid of that fear was essential for the way I'm living now. A couple of books that I've read recently that are kind of in this same area include a book called Never Alone by Wonia Thibault. She was a contestant on the Alone survival reality TV show in 2020. I think it was like season 6. And this book tells the story of how she survived, I think it was like 73 days in the Arctic with absolutely no human contact and very few tools, living by what she could trap and snare and forage out in the Arctic. Really inspiring, lots of twists and turns. And ultimately, what we learn from a book like that and from a book like mine is that women have a particular advantage in the wilderness, and our skills aren't necessarily acknowledged as much as those of men. So I really love that book by Wonia. And then another book, I don't have it on me, is called Return by a woman named Lynx Vilden, who is a veteran master of ancient human skills. And she trains folks to go out and live in the wild as a group for several weeks. They prepare for a long time beforehand, making all of their own clothes, tanning the hides to have moccasins, collecting all sorts of foraged berries, drying meat, preparing a buffalo skin to sleep on like a sleeping bag, and building their inner resilience to withstand not being with 70-degree temperature all the time, the intense conditions of the wild. And then she takes them out and they survive. Her book is a memoir of how she gained those skills and how she teaches them to others. So I found that super inspiring. One other thing I'd love to say about my book is about the genre. So the book is both immersive journalism and a memoir blended together. And I think there's a growing trend for people observing and documenting cultural trends to insert themselves and their inner life into the writing, which makes it more personal. And it also helps the reader put themselves into the narrative, I think, in a deeper way. And my hope is that my book helps readers access their inner wildness. I'm going to read a very short passage from Why We Need to Be Wild. This is from the introduction. Here we go. Through harvesting roadkill, collecting and spreading wild perennial seeds on public land, and tracking animals and ancient human artifacts across the West, I sought my original birthright as an intelligent, omnivorous, bipedal female hominid. I found that I was like so many of the rewilders I encountered who were dissatisfied with modern life and looking for an alternative. It became apparent that my perspective as a mother, I have 2 daughters, provided a valuable corrective for this emerging movement. From wilderness guides and survival experts to bushcraft teachers and participants on reality TV shows, the majority of folks actively rewilding are male. I learned to recognize that solo survival, in which nature is a brutal combatant that only the strongest individuals can contend with, was a myth that didn't reflect how humans actually live in the wild. Ethnographic studies overwhelmingly show that instances of solo survival are scarce in human history, because what truly allows humans to survive is caring and sharing in small communities. We require a multi-generational group to thrive. We are social primates who need each other. I feel strongly that the role of women as gatherers, nurturers, and wild tenders is far more crucial to the survival of the social group than the actions of a single heroic male. So that's my book. I hope you pick it up and enjoy it. Read it outside. Thank you so much.